Welcome to the podcast where we discuss all about Bethlehem and its future. I'm your host, Ryan Conrad. We're diving into the stories, ideas, and people that make our community shine. So let's talk Bethlehem. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Let's Talk Bethlehem. I've got a really special guest today, Bud Caywood. So I was just going to start. First off, welcome to the show.
Well, I appreciate being here.
Yeah, and you've had such a dynamic career as a furniture designer, artist, a writer. What originally brought you to Bethlehem?
Well, I went to college to study furniture design technology, so I had to go where they were making furniture. And this area had quite a few manufacturing facilities, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's certainly a lot, especially down there along 321s headed towards Hudson and Lenoir. There's tons of furniture and obviously lots of furniture locally as well. So, yeah. So you've lived here for 16 years, and in that time, you've really integrated yourself into the community and got involved. What drew you to working with groups like BBA and the Planning Board?
I've always been someone to get involved with committees and organizations and things that can make a community better. I like to be a part of that. I just don't look at things as they are. I try to take a look at them and how they might be in 10 years or 15 years from now. And the only way to do that is to get involved with those who are in charge at that particular moment and kind of work off what they're doing. So
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about a community engagement and then pro-incorporation. With all of your involvement, BBA, local government, community planning, zoning board, local business owner, and the list goes on and on. We've got Don and Marie, who are self-appointing themselves as mayors of Bethlehem, and the pro-incorporation group, who also moved here with a similar story, yet they've made no effort to really engage with existing leadership, and instead are just trying to push their agenda instead of working with the community. What do you make of that contrast between when you come in to really just start to talk with people and network versus just coming in and sort of going sort of in the shadows a little bit, so to speak?
Well, you really don't know what's going on until you get involved. There's always those things that an individual or an organization does that you have no clue about. And so in order to really understand where they're going with it and why they want to do that, you really need to get involved with the community. And that's what Bethlehem is. We are a community. And there's no better place to get the information that you need, regardless of what the subject is, than to be involved with the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it's important for folks who have different visions for Bethlehem? Well, obviously that covers just getting involved in general. But instead of trying to change things from the outside in, work with the people that are already getting involved. And if you want to make certain changes, that just sort of kind of reiterates what you just said. But
it's before BBA there was the Bethlehem Community Development Association. And, they started very early on, and they were the leaders at that time to help the growth of Bethlehem in the way that they saw fit. Mm-hmm. And so they were a good organization, but like a lot of organizations, at some point in time, it's run its course, and they dissolved, and they were no longer involved in that after they had already put so much effort into the Bethlehem community. Mm-hmm. BBA came along not too long ago. We started an organization called the Bethlehem Business Association, basically to do not the same thing that VCDA did, but to have our own ideas of what we need to do to move forward.
Sure. Yeah. So with let's talk a little bit about the Bethlehem Community Plan 2045. It seems to strangely be this sort of hot button now. And it just baffles me a little bit to hear about that. But you've played a big role in the Bethlehem Community 2045 plan, which lays out a vision for the town's future. You want to walk us through how that plan came together? And
I'm going to read something to you first, okay?
Yeah, love it. Let's do it.
before I give you what my opinion is.
Okay.
This comes from the state of North Carolina.
Okay.
According to the North Carolina General Statutes, every local government must base their zoning decisions on long-range plan, which describes policies for land use and growth management issues. These decisions range from rezoning decision to transportation regulations to policies governing the uses and subdivision of land. Bethlehem will be experiencing a great deal of change due to the widening of Highway 127 and its proximity to the city of Hickory, the Catawba River, and Interstate 40. The Alexander County Commissioners and the Alexander County Planning and Development Department set the process of developing a long-range plan for Bethlehem in motion by contracting with the Western Piedmont Council of Governments to assist in developing the Bethlehem Community Plan. This was established by the state of North Carolina, that we have to follow those guidelines that they've established for us. So if there's somebody spreading more words out there regarding this plan, it's not something that I put in place.
Yeah.
I'm just following the guidelines that the state of North Carolina has given us to move forward.
Yeah, and those who are tuning in that can't see this in video, this is the very, very first page, the very first paragraph that you're reading.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. And I just feel like that we need that guidance. Without it, there's no telling what tangent we're going to be in.
Yeah. So, absolutely. I mean, that comes just full circle with if you only know things by learning things,
right.
And you don't just jump in and know exactly every in and out and how zoning works and how running a town, a community, a city, much less anything else, a little tribe, whatever it is.
Right.
And you don't just learn these, you don't just know these things, you have to learn them. And I mean, clearly getting guidance from the state level, right? That's
right. Rest of the state, plus the Western Piedmont Council of Governments and the North Carolina DOT. They were all part of walking us through this process to get it right.
Yeah.
So
and I've looked. Obviously, I haven't read the whole thing cover to cover, but I tried to read as much as I could about this, and it's very, very, very thorough and well put together. So the pro-incorporation group is oddly just furious about this plan, which I don't get, and I don't know. Maybe they can explain a little bit further, but I would just say that, they never got involved when they had the chance with this.
No.
And I clearly remember the board asking community input in the newspaper about the 2045 plan. And I mean, what's your response to that? Just,
There's a lot of people that like to do a lot of talking, but not a lot of work.
Yeah.
And that's probably what it boils down to. This plan was, I feel like when we got done with it, we were all very satisfied with what we had come up with. Western Piedmont Council of Governments said we did a super job on it. And, yes, I was the chairman at the time. I was elected the chairman by the rest of that board and then approved by our county commissioners. And from the very beginning, our goal was let's use what we have around us, which is the Western Piedmont Council of Governments and the guidelines that the state has established for us, and not to try to veer too off on a tangent anywhere that takes us away from what they want us to do and what we need to provide to them.
Right.
So it's, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. Couldn't say it any better myself. Some people are claiming that incorporation is necessary for controlled growth, but you were part of a long-term plan designed to do just that.
Right. Right.
Without incorporation, how do you see Bethlehem growing successfully under the 2045 plan?
We're a small community, but the most important thing is we are a community. And I see growth. It's going to be slower than maybe in a lot of other places, but that's okay. I mean, we want to be able to control that growth and not have too much just overwhelming situations that are not slowly moving into place.
Right.
And it's just growth needs to be controlled. Otherwise, it gets out of hand. There's nothing in between that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the petition, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about like what happened at the polls, if you don't mind talking about it.
I do mind talking about it because it's a non-issue at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like there were some things that were being done that just didn't seem right, but I don't want to point any fingers at anybody. It just was one of those times when you just feel like this just doesn't seem right.
Yeah. I mean, in so many words, and you can decline to answer this if you want to, but when you were there, did you have the initial? Did you feel that what you signed was what you were? I'm trying to think of the best word to explain this delicately. Do you feel like what you were signing was what you were signing up for, basically?
Yeah, I did. So, but I didn't realize that wasn't going to be the outcome. So I'd kind of like to get off this subject because
Sure.
I don't want to get too loud.
Yeah, I understand. No problem. Yeah, we can move on. So let's move on to another question here. So let's talk about some fun and personal stuff, if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You've done library read-alouds. You support the arts, a regular Renaissance man. And you've even run 5Ks. What keeps you so active, engaged in the community?
I like all of those things that you said. I've been an artist my entire life. I was an artist in high school. I've been an athlete my entire life. I ran a lot of 5Ks. I've run marathons, and it's just my nature. I tell you, of all of the athletic things that I've done, what I have had the most fun with was coaching soccer for, close to 20 seasons.
That's awesome.
And to watch those kids develop and play, I mean, they're our future leaders, and to be somebody that can help them move forward, whether it's through sports or other organizations. That's what I do.
Yeah. What age group did you follow an age?
I did follow. I followed my girls' team all the way to the when they were seniors in high school.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I had I've coached quite a few different teams through the years. Mm-hmm. My 12-year-olds won the first state title for Hickory, and that was fun. That was a big step forward for soccer in this area. I helped organize CVYSA, which was an organization that made sure that kids that were skill level were able to move up properly instead of just moving them up or moving them down, but to watch their growth in soccer and understand when they're ready to move up or stay where they're at.
Yeah. I can relate to that a little bit. The last fall, I coached my son's kindergarten 5 and 6 soccer league, and that was interesting. It was challenging.
Oh yeah.
I'm hoping that it gets a little more organized and a little bit better.
It will.
Every year.
It will.
But it was still fun. I mean, one thing that kind of surprised me, I wasn't prepared for, is they keep the kids that play together. If they were in a team and they were all 5-year-olds, the next year they're all going to be 6-year-olds. Mm-hmm. I got all the kindergartners, and we were playing first graders, and we just got our butts beat up and down. I think maybe we won one game, but it was still fun, and I'm looking forward to coaching again next year.
Coaching is special, and it'll come full circle too, because I can't tell you how many times I could be down on the square in Hickory, and I'll hear somebody say, "Coach, hey, Coach," mm-hmm. and I'll turn around, and it was one of my players. Yeah, that might have been 12 years old or 15 or whatever. Yeah, and that's special.
Yeah, you build those relationships. Yeah, for sure. And I had a chance to check out your website. I was just super impressed with your paintings. Just This really, I mean, you're just so well versed in many things. And then furniture building, I'm a furniture builder myself. In fact, this is this is not fancy furniture, but this is a walnut slab I just put together here, this table where we got right here. So yeah, I got a little bit in common with you there.
Yeah.
So,
well, I've always been an artist ever since high school, actually grammar school. But in high school, I had a teacher that realized that I had certain talents that I should pursue, and one of those was being able to work from creating a piece of furniture with the equipment that you had and the materials that you had. So designing furniture, I've been designing now for 53 years, I believe.
do you have like a little, or maybe even a big, like a wood shop at your place, or?
No. I just I do everything with pencil. Nothing CAD.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't use CAD either. I sketch on a piece of paper my dimensions, and then I'll just kind of piece it together. I'm not super precision craftsman. I'm more rustic, kind of janky put together, but it still works kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, of all of the arts, whether it's painting or sculpture or design always comes up on top. I have the most fun designing furniture than the others, but it's mainly because there's no limit to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I anything creative. I mean, we're in a music studio right here, so I love writing music. It's my jam. So yeah, I really enjoy it. Any outlet of being creative, graphic design and web design as well. I get to be a little bit creative there during my work days. So. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yep, but we have a group in Hickory that meets at Tasteful Beans Coffee House the second Tuesday of every month. We bring in a featured writer, and then we have an open mic. As a matter of fact, tonight a group called Cackalack, that's a publisher, they're there tonight actually reading their poems and their stories, and we've been doing that for 18 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's very cool. So you're a big baseball fan. If you could bring any minor league baseball team to Bethlehem, if it was possible, and we had the space for it, would you do it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, not so as much for me as it would be for the kids. I mean, I go see the Crawdads play, and I love seeing the little kids running all over the place, up and down the bleachers and everything. Mm-hmm. But when something happens, if somebody hits a ball, and you know how the crowd goes, those kids stop, and they're sitting there watching, and they got the big grin on their face, and one day maybe one of them will be a major leaguer.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you could snap your fingers and make one positive change in Bethlehem today, what would it be?
Widening of 127 now.
Yeah. I've heard through the grapevine that it's been held back because of Helene.
Yeah.
Any pulse check on like how far out we are for that? Sometimes you have to take that as a grain of salt, because you don't really know. They'll give us numbers, and then all of a sudden they back it out some more. So when it happens, it happens. Yeah. Isn't there a meeting or a community meeting to talk about that a little bit further in depth coming up?
There might be. I haven't heard of it.
I've seen it, but I can't remember. If I do think of it, I'll put it down in the comments of the video. But I thought I saw where they were going to elaborate a little bit further about the plan there. But I did hear, and you can confirm it with me, that they will be building a second bridge, correct?
Right, yes.
So it'll be two separate bridges, the existing one and then a new one.
Plus a pedestrian bridge.
A pedestrian bridge. Okay, gotcha. Okay,
yep, that'll be added. And I think it would be really good for our community if we could have bike lanes. I'm a cyclist, and
Gary was talking about that 3 episodes ago.
Yeah, we need to do that. And if they're going to put the pedestrian bridge in there, that when we get to the other side in Catawba County, we're not that far from being on their greenway and their bike lanes. So I think that's important moving forward.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to continue to grow like we're growing, and there's going to be more traffic there, there's going to be more cyclists there.
Yep. You're
So-
right. Yep. We can. Did you want to touch on anything else in particular before we close out, or do you want to?
Well, I wanna-
talk a little bit more about, or anything particular you want to talk about while we're here?
Yeah, there's one thing I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
And I wrote this. This is the county comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Okay. Now this plan is, you have to do this for the state as well. This is for 2045. That's what this plan is for.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started doing that. But I was asked to do the introduction into this plan. And so I decided to take it from a different approach. Instead of giving hard facts and all that stuff, I wanted to make it
Sure.
more of something that just makes you feel like you really like this county.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it goes like this. While in Alexander County is a rural oasis in its own right, it is skirted by natural beauty between its interior and neighboring counties, creating an interesting reality for those craving a short adventure in any direction. Just ask the locals, or in many cases, the transplants. Mountain beauty, laid-back atmosphere, rural charm appeal to both visitors and good people of Alexander County. Each of the many unique places has its own distinct opportunity for fun, adventure, and discovery. And that's just the introduction to this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I like that. Is there anything else you want to cover about the incorporation? Anything else you want to talk about that? Anything you want to share with the?
Yeah, the only thing
audience?
I would say is that there needs to be more information given to us so we know what's going on. I feel like this incorporation has kind of been pushed quietly in a corner so that nobody's talking about it, when in fact it's still moving on. It's moving forward.
Yeah.
I just feel like our county commissioners, they need to be more vocal in what they know and what they're able to share with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a community, we need to do that. We need to be able to feel free to speak candidly and about how we feel about an incorporation, because I just don't feel like it's right. I think we're going in the wrong direction. Bethlehem was built on relationships, on friendships, and community.
Yeah.
And that can come to a screeching halt real quick.
Yeah, I agreed with you wholeheartedly on that, and I've had the opportunity to talk with quite a few people about it, and they have no idea what's going on, no clue. I want to feel like we reach a lot of people in social media, but that just barely scratches the surface.
Right.
Our group has, I think we're sitting at around 1,000. We've been around 1,000 people. There's over 8,000 people in Bethlehem that would be affected by this. And I would not be exaggerating by saying that there's probably 75% of Bethlehem population that still has no idea what's going on or what this means. And I've said this probably 3 or 4 times in different episodes of the podcast, but the one thing that concerns me about that the most is just, and I talked about this with Gary, was back in 2001, there was a whole different board there. They put out a just basically a pulse check, and they did about 15% of the population to see if they wanted to incorporate. And, I mean, it was just a resounding no, we don't want to do that. And then they backed off. But they went to the people, to the community, and asked, is that something you want to do? And I think that's the thing that's a little bit amiss here is it's sort of the opposite. It's like, this is what we want to do. Join us and get on the train because it's going with or without you kind of thing. And I think that really doesn't settle well with a lot of people. And I think that's a lot of the friction that it's caused is because of that. So, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, we're not getting all the information.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse, and we can certainly move on from it. But yeah, let's. If you've got what's your message to the people of Bethlehem as we move forward? Like, what do you, if you could tell everybody something, if you know, what's Bud's advice?
Be vocal. Share your feelings. If there's something that is concerning you, let somebody else know about it. That's the only way that you can kind of build that trust with each other. Because, you know, we're dealing with an issue right now that from our side, I feel like we've done quite a bit of information gathering and sharing that with each other. From the other side that wants this municipality, we're not hearing anything from them, but they've got to be talking. They've got to be talking to some people. We need to get that information.
Yeah. Yeah, and a good way is to go to those commissioner meetings.
Yep, go to the commissioners' meetings. Go to the local meetings. You know, there's nothing wrong with going to the library to see some art hanging on the wall in there and have a conversation about what's going on in our community.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure, absolutely. So where can people find more of your work, your art, your writing, your past projects?
Gosh, I'm kind of in a stall right now when it comes to my art. But I'll get back on track. I've gone through this before.
Yeah.
I don't really display it that much. Most of the time, I'll do a piece or that I'll sell occasionally. But I'm not in the business to make art to sell it. I make art because it's a release of emotion. The same thing with writing. It's
same here.
It builds up. You got to do something with it, and so I either put it on a canvas or put it on a page.
Yeah.
And they both come relatively easy to me, but that's not necessarily what happens. I mean, you just kind of get in that situation where you don't know why you don't have it, but you know it's still in there.
Yeah. No, I feel that, and if I cared about making a lot of money being creative, I would have given it up a long time ago. Like it's a labor of love, and I enjoy it. And anyway, like if it's writing a song or if it's doing a logo design, even something as simple as that, I've always got a lot of gratification out. At the end of the day, that's what made me feel accomplished. Like I have done something good with the day, and some people feel that way by, you know, helping someone. Like, you know, you've got people that, and I feel like too, I want to help people too. I have that, but more so just that creative outlet that's what makes me tick. And I feel like we share a big similarity in that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. You know, it's always nice to know that if I've written something and submitted it to a competition or publishing opportunity, it's nice to get that letter back saying we have taken your poem and it's going to be in this anthology. So that's a good thing. And I tell you what happened to me in designing one time. I was doing some product for Lazy Boy, and my assignment was doing some recliners and designing some new recliners for them. Just so happened that Brooke Shield was at the High Point showroom the same time I was there with Lazy Boy, and come to find out, she did not pick a Lazy Boy design for her signature piece. She picked the one that I designed for Lazy Boy. So
that's really interesting furniture design in the building and coming up with the concepts. Like, how does that start? You start with the sketches and drawing on pen and paper or pencil and paper?
Pencil and paper. I do everything with pencil. And I'll start roughing something out. Usually I'll get an idea of something after having a conversation with one of their merchandising people, because they know what sells and what's important for their product line. But sometimes they want adaptations of those. that scale or that size. And that's when it becomes the most fun, because I can do one and then another one and another one. They're all different, and it gives them an opportunity to look at and select which one they might want to put in the line.
That's really cool. Have you ever gone in a living room and been like, oh, I designed that?
I've never been in the living room, but I've seen it in magazines a number of times.
Okay. Do they at least give you a discount on the stuff that you design?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I might get one because I do work for them, but not on a specific piece.
I got you. Okay. Well, that's very cool. I feel like I could brag about you and say, can I share like your URL for your website? Could you tell us what it is?
I don't even know if I've got what that is.
Or like the Bud K, is it budcaywood.com or?
Oh, it's let's see, it's Caywood Studio. No, that's not the one. It would be budcaywood.com. Yeah, that would work. Yeah.
Okay.
That could.
For anyone interested that wanted to check out some of your art or in poetry or.
Yeah, if you go to budcaywood.com, it'll pull up a little tiny screen there that'll list my writing and my furniture design and my paintings.
Very cool.
You'll have to kind of scan through it, but
yeah, cool. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about, or while we're here?
No, I appreciate being here and keep up the good work. My gosh, this is awesome.
Yeah,
this is important to get the word out there.
Yeah,
to get people involved, and you can stay in your house all day long and complain about what's going on in the community, but you got to get out there and do that complaining.
Yeah, for sure. And beyond that, and I've said this quite a few times too, is I want to make sure too that because this incorporation topic isn't going to last forever.
No,
I mean, and I would love to see this go beyond that. And I've reached my hand out to business owners, and there's been a little bit of, as a disclaimer, a little bit of taboo for business owners to want to come in here because it sort of started out like the incorporation topic, and it's more of let's talk Bethlehem and not let's talk incorporation. So, I mean, although it's an important topic I want to talk about, I want to make it clear to my audience that I also want to bring on people and not talk about incorporation and help promote their business. So I'll just extend my hand to say anybody that would that's like local business owner in Bethlehem that wants to just come on and talk about what they do and what they offer to the community, or just an interesting story they want to come talk about, please reach out to me, and I'd love to have them on. So,
well, the most important thing is to just get out there and talk. Don't be afraid. You may get in a conversation that they're on the opposite side, but at least you know that. I mean, it's important to share the information that we have and how we feel about what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, talk to your neighbors, talk to your family, talk to your friends. I mean, there's so many people that just have no idea what's going on.
And, get the Taylorsville Times and get the Bethlehem Star. That's, and if you've got an issue, write something to go in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Cool. Well, Bud, I thank you so much for coming in and talking. And,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, sharing your knowledge. And this, everybody, I encourage everyone to check out the Bethlehem Community Plan. Read it. It's really, really thorough. They had some really good professionals help them put that together, and the Alexander County 2045 comprehensive plan as well. So, yeah. Yep. But that's it. All right, guys. All right, thanks, Bud.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.